Welcome to Snyder's Inc., where the fun never ends. Reactions, gaming, and more with Josh as your friend. Tune in, buckle up, it's a ride you don't wanna miss. Snyder's Inc., let's dive in, feel the ultimate bliss.
Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we got Parts of Unknown video, and this is 11 pay-per-views WWE only did once. And we gonna get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit subscribe button, comments, thing down below. Let's go.
People say that a group of lads can have an amazing night just naming athletes back and forth. I am proud to reveal that the same can be said for WWE pay-per-views, at least in my circle anyway. Oh dude, No Way Out 2006? Bro, but what about like Backlash 2009? And on we go, having great laughs, and somewhere in the midst of it all there will always be the one friend that goes, yeah, but Great Balls of Fire though? And everyone just sighs and reflects on the kind of decision-making process that would have to exist for a major pay-per-view event to be called Great Balls of Fire. Not every WWE pay-per-view has stuck the landing, resulting in these trivia answer ass shows. I'm Tempest hailing from Parts of Unknown.
Oh, Fatal 4-Way. Oh, that is a Fatal 4-Way type of show right there. Oh, yeah. Fatal 4-Way, Great Balls of Fire. Let's see what other ones can I think of. This Tuesday in Texas, does that count? I think that counts. This Tuesday in Texas. Rock Bottom. I don't know if that was in your house or not. Rock Bottom. Those are 4 I got.
And these are 11 pay-per-views WWE only did once.
Honorable mention to the technicalities.
Honorable mentions, the technicalities. Right, so these honorable mentions are going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for me, because without them, this list would be 25 entries long, and we can't have that. For this list, I'm only considering pay-per-views whose names have only been used by WWE once, period. So if they were a network special like Roadblock, or a special episode of Raw like Day One, or an NXT takeover like Fatal 4-Way, they will end up here. And I'm not including any of those shows that are regular pay-per-view name, bunch of nonsense, or any other minor alterations. I don't want to see people in the comments kicking up a fuss about the horror show at Extreme Rules, or No Way Out of Texas, or Tables, Ladders, Chairs, and Stairs. Right, now that these shows have all been mentioned honorably, let's begin with number 11, Breaking Point.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Breaking Point. It's when every match is like I quit or submission, right? Something like that. I think it was some ridiculous bullshit like that.
2009 properly marked the beginning of WWE's gimmick pay-per-view era and the death of many of WWE's longest-running B shows. R.I.P. Unforgiven, you grammatically complicated Prince. In their place, WWE began to throw a bunch of shit at the wall to see what would stick. Some of them did with varying degrees of success, like Hell in a Cell and Money in the Bank, while others did not. Enter Breaking Point and its cool-ass poster. Why a submission-based pay-per-view in 2009, when the most adept man at the art of grappling was John Cena with the STF? It is no wonder that WWE has never tried to bring this one back. You might be able to get away with it in a blood sport type work shoot presentation with folks like Bryan Danielson on the card, but at this time with these guys, nuh-uh. The show actually has some gems on it, like a fun Christian and William Regal match, and by far the best John Cena-Randy Orton match ever, but when the selling point of the show is whether DX can submit Legacy at the merch stand, the only ones tapping out were the paying customers. Number 10, Rock Bottom.
I knew Rock Bottom would be on the list. Rock Bottom. Shitty name for a match. Why would you name something after a wrestler? So fucking weird. I understand people think they should bring Judgment Day back for Judgment Day. That's kind of fun. But like, this is ridiculous.
Bottom. We wind the clock back over a decade now as we reach the final pay-per-view of 1998, Rock Bottom, a name which sort of makes sense as it is a pay-per-view named after the champion's finishing move, an interesting choice, but one WWE can get away with, what with Big Dwayne being the corporate champion at the time. Outside of the kayfabe conflict of interest of naming one of your major shows after a single wrestler, there wasn't much of a reason to bring this show back for another run based on what happened on it either. The main event scene was the only thing worth seeing on the show, as was the case with most WWE pay-per-views of the late 90s, with Mankind getting revenge on Corporate Rock, beating him clean with the mandible claw, only for the McMahons to say that The Rock wouldn't lose the title because he didn't tap out, he passed out. Which isn't how that works! Absolute bullshit finish aside, it's the only match worth seeing on the show. Number 9, Breakdown. Just a few months earlier, WWE followed up their annual summer.
I have no memory of Breakdown. That tells you everything you need to know. I have no knowledge of Breakdown at all.
SummerSlam show with their first and last Breakdown show. Honestly, I have just noticed that all 3 of these first entries took place in Canada. I didn't plan it that way, but it does make the maple syrup running in my veins just a bit sweeter. Speaking of Canada, the opener was Canadian Edge's first pay-per-view singles match against fellow Canadian Owen Hart and featured the debut of Canadian Christian. Hell, that's more Canadian than Corner Gas. Elsewhere on the show, Steve Austin's time with the WWE.
Oh, Corner Gas, the show my mom used to watch, and I never understood why.
WWF title in 1998 came to an end in about the most convoluted way possible. In a 3-way match with Kane and Undertaker, Austin was double pinned, and thus the title was held up for 2 months, meaning the genesis of the legendary Deadly Games tournament came right here in Hamilton, Ontario. It's more than you would expect to see at a B pay-per-view in Hamilton, I tell you that. Oski Wee Wee. Number 8, this Tuesday in
I knew this would be on here.
Texas. Now it's time to wind the clocks back even further to when any pay-per-view not included in the Big Four was a weird one-off. SummerSlam 1991 brought forth wacky circumstances for the WWE title as Ric Flair helped The Undertaker defeat Hulk Hogan to win the belt. This was so dastardly that a brand new pay-per-view was set up just 1 week later just to settle this score. Or, more accurately, kick that can down the road to the Royal Rumble, as Hulk Hogan winning that title back in another match with more shenanigans wasn't good enough either. A lot of good this show did. Also, have I mentioned that it was called This Tuesday in Texas? It genuinely sounds more like an answer to when the pay-per-view is than an actual name. Oh, the WWF is doing another pay-per-view? When? Oh, it's This Tuesday in Texas. Cool, and what's it called? This Tuesday in Texas. It's like a Abbott and Costello routine. At least this show earns points for being where Randy Savage comes out of retirement to get revenge on Jake Roberts for ruining his wedding, which is an actual great piece of business. Number 7, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. You know, some people.
Oh yeah! I forgot that they only did one of these. For some reason I thought they did another.
Pay-per-view names just don't stick for one reason or another. Maybe there's actually a more creative name than just Over the Limit, who's to say? But naming a pay-per-view after a real-life mass murder? I can kinda understand why this one hasn't been brought.
What? I didn't know this part. I didn't know they named it after an actual massacre. That is awesome.
Back as an NXT special. In 1999, however, there would be far less pearl clutching about such a thing. Thus, we had this show just prior to WrestleMania 15. If you are reminiscing about this show, it is going to be because of one of 2 reasons. Mankind and The Rock going to a draw in their last man standing match for the WWE title, or the Steve Austin-Vince McMahon cage match. The former is the penultimate match in the ludicrously quick rivalry between the future Rock and Sock connection, while the latter is the only time Austin and McMahon went one-on-one on pay-per-view. Kinda explains the crazy high buy rate this otherwise miserable show got. Vince taking the worst announce table bump ever, Vince bleeding buckets, Big Show debuting and immediately being made to look like the biggest dumb giant by accidentally helping Austin win. There are just so many memorable moments here to hold dear. Number 6, Stomping Grounds. Now for something
Yes. Stomping Grounds, baby. Hell yeah.
a little more modern. What the f were they thinking with this one? Like, what focus group came up with the name Stomping Grounds, where the logo is a shoe? 2019, man, you had to be there. Honestly, outside of some of the most uninspired main event booking this side of 2019 Ring of Honor, this show is fine. It's actually way better than I remember it being. Ricochet and Samoa Joe have a really good US title match. Save the Planet, Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery is really fun with Bryan in his backyard. Roman is riding a wave of popularity following his return to WWE earlier in the year, and thus his match with Drew is really fun. KO and Sammy team up to face the New Day in a match I absolutely do not remember happening. It's a solid little card. It's just a shame that the main event scene is so dire. Seth versus Corbin was the slow death of Seth's Universal title reign, while Kofi Kingston was defending his WWE title against Dolph Ziggler, a mid-card match in any year, except this time it was for the top title in the company. Makes sense that the show was one and done when that's what people would remember it for. Number 5, Capital Punishment. I mean, WWE have done pay-per-views in DC since. Why did they choose this show as the only one to do Capital Punishment? And I just looked up the poster for this show so I can double check the spelling, and why the f is Rey Mysterio jumping on a box like Crash Bandicoot? What have I got?
Oh, this pay-per-view is fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. I know people think it sucks, and it really should. It really does. But there is a soft spot in my heart for this level of shit, because you won't get it anywhere but 2011 where you get this garbage, and it has a special place in my heart.
Clearly, this show is doomed to some sort of purgatory just from its setup, and that's before you consider that this is the John Cena R-Truth show. This is a weird event all around. This is the Core Implosion show, the Alex Riley Singles Push show, and just in case you thought I was exaggerating my last entry, one of many Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler shows. It has its CM Punk versus Rey Mysterios and Randy Orton versus Christians to keep it from being completely skippable, but I wouldn't blame you if you had chosen to just see the Lincoln statue or something else. Number 4, Great Balls of Fire. Here it is.
Yeah, we knew this was gonna be on here.
The most ridiculous pay-per-view name WWE has come up with. Or, pardon me, the most ridiculous pay-per-view name WWE has come up with
So far.
Haha, get it, guys? Balls! They're funny! Har har har. Anyway, this was a show.
I hated this show name from the moment it was announced. There were people who said it was fine when I was complaining about it. My friends and I did. This show is awful. This pay-per-view name sucks. I don't care that's named after a song. Fuck that song because it's attached to this shit now.
Like, it happened. Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe was an incredible TV program, and their title match probably should have gotten more than 6 minutes, but hey-ho. Honestly, the thing I most remember about Great Balls of Fire was Roman Reigns flying into the back of the ambulance. That man was perfectly horizontal. The Miz and Dean Ambrose, I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in that match, but Roman Reigns soaring through the air will stay with me for the rest of my life. Number 3, Invasion. This show has mostly been ordered to
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't do this again. It'd make no sense to.
depending on how important or ridiculously titled the show was, but now that we have reached the final 3, these shows definitely fit in the former category. The year was 2001. WCW had been bought by WWE, and although it was off to a rocky start, the Invasion appeared ready to kick off in full force at Invasion. I mean, the name itself implies people are going to show up, and even if it wasn't explicitly said by WWE, enough people thought that this is where was going to go down to make Invasion the most bought non-WrestleMania WWE pay-per-view of all time. Nearly 800,000 people, or groups of people, doled out cash thinking they were going to get to see the debuts of WCW's best. But did they? Narrator? They did not. This is pretty much universally seen as where all hope was lost for the Invasion, featuring the likes of Goldberg, Sting, and the NWO. And while I certainly wouldn't expect them to run an Invasion pay-per-view every year, the reception the show got was enough reason not to. And speaking of, number 2, December to
Oh my god, how did I forget about December to Dismember? God damn it me. And then number 1's Fatal 4-Way. But this is, oh, this is 100% should have been on here. Ah, son of a bitch. Ah, I should have known better. I should have thought of that. Fuck.
Member. Hoo boy! Nothing like taking your struggling nan to the hospital and delivering a beating that the crusty burglar would consider tame. That's what December to Dismember was. WWECW limping along like the reanimated corpse that it was until this show put it on life support. Granted, it existed on life support for another 3 years, but that's beside the point. Who the bought this show? And why? Which of the two announced matches really sold you on it? Someone once described this show as starting with a not half bad tag match and going downhill. Someone once said this show went 2 hours 20 minutes and they'd have paid more to have it end earlier. It don't get no more suck-ass than this show. But instead of ending with a show that makes it perfectly clear why one hasn't been done since, let's close this list with one where there is no reason to not have another. Number 1. Evolution. 2018 was very much...
Alright, that's fair. That's fair. You know what? That's actually... I can get behind that. I can get behind that logic. They absolutely should do another Evolution, so the fact there is annoying. I can understand that completely.
Much the year that WWE went hard on pushing the importance of women's wrestling. We had the first Women's Rumble, the first Women's Elimination Chamber, and just a few months into 2019, the first Women's WrestleMania main event. We have seen all of those things happen again since. What we haven't seen is the return of WWE's women's only pay-per-view. There are reasons for this, of course. Mainly WWE's interest in pushing their women's division to this level walked out the door as soon as Ronda Rousey left in 2019, but honestly, with the women's roster WWE has created in the years since, there is no reason they couldn't do Evolution 2 and top the original. When the first show took place, we didn't have Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley on the main roster. We didn't have Tiffany Stratton or Candice LeRae or Piper Niven, and we damn sure didn't have Jade Cargill. But now we do. And if WWE really wanted to set themselves apart from some other places, this would be a hell of a way to do it. And that's our list. Make sure...
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.